Hello, MJ7NLK here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are looking at the Motorola R7 Mototrbo radios. These are the first Motorola radios to appear on the channel and it's been a voyage of discovery putting this video together. I normally review CB radio and amateur radios covering the HF 10 to 12 meter bands and the VHF 2 meter and UHF 70 centimeter bands. So when my eldest son kept banging on about how amazing the Motorola radios were, I decided to dip my toe in the water and to see what all the fuss was about. The UHF version of the R7 covers 400 to 527 MHz and the VHF version is 136 to 174 MHz. So I grabbed a UHF R7 to see if it could be used to cover things like PMR, 70 centimeter and the business frequencies in the UHF spectrum. If you're going to use the business frequencies, you need to purchase a business license from Ofcom. The Business Radio Simple UK license costs £75 for 5 years, so there's no excuse not to get one. Log into your Ofcom account for your amateur license and it's a couple of clicks and you're done. This gives you 7 UHF frequencies to use and your license covers the licensee and any person authorised to act on the licensee's behalf. Before we continue, here is a quick message from this video's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay are makers of prototype PCBs of all kinds. They also offer services like PCB assembly, CNC machining, 3D printing and sheet metal fabrication and injection moulding. Manufacturing times are exceptionally quick and delivery is super fast. I've used their services on many occasions and PCBWay get an NLK-Media thumbs up for quality and service. Check out their website pcbway.com for more information or follow the link in the video's description. Thank you PCBWay for supporting this channel. We will take a look at the handsets shortly, but before we do, let's get acquainted with the R7 and Mototrbo. The Motorola R7 comes configured in 5 different flavours with 2 body types. First up we have the R7A, which only comes in the no keypad body. This radio has a fixed feature set and is not upgradable with the exception of the AES encryption option. Then we have the R7 no keypad, which comes in 2 flavours, capable or premium. These variants are upgradable and we will talk more about this shortly. And finally we have the big daddy of the range, the R7 full keypad, which sports a large colour screen, keypad and also comes in 2 flavours of capable or premium. Here in Europe the models are capable or premium. In other jurisdictions I've seen them referred to as enabled and premium, so watch out for this dependent on where you're located. The Motorola R7 has many certifications: military standard 810, HAZLOC certification against disinfectants and other chemicals. Its operating temperature range is -30 to +60 degrees centigrade. It's IP68 water resistant and it can be submerged up to 2 meters for 2 hours and is also IP66 high pressure water resistant. The R7 is capable of simplex direct handset to handset communications in both analog and digital. Digital is DMR Tier 2 and Tier 3 compliant. Conventional repeater in single site, IP Site Connect, Capacity Plus and Capacity Max. Please note that Connect Plus is no longer supported by Motorola and is therefore not supported on the R7. On the differences between versions, I won't go into each item here, but will call out a few. Pause the video if you want to look at them in detail. Signalling types on all models is 5-tone, CTCSS and DCS for analog privacy, DMR Tier 2 and Tier 3 with the usual colour codes, and MDC 1200. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi and GPS is not available on the R7A, can be added to the capable version via software enablement keys, and comes as standard on the premium. More on this shortly. The no keypad models cater for 64 channels and the full keypad 1000 channels. This is where you start to see the limitations of the R7A. These are the features that can be enabled by purchasing license keys on the capable model, and I have included a rough estimate to the costs of these keys, and the price does vary based on quantity purchased from supplier to supplier. It's a real shame that the R7A does not have the dual microphone noise cancelling, as this is a fantastic feature of the radio. Individual licenses are not that expensive in isolation, with the exception of the AES encryption license. £200 per radio is stupidly expensive. The Radioddity GD88 supports AES at no extra cost. Prices vary greatly dependent on where you purchase your radio from. You can purchase the full keypad capable model for £516, or the premium model for £574. That is a difference of £58 and is very much worth it. If you purchase the capable model and added all of the licenses to match the premium, it would cost in the region of £320. Taking into account the price difference between models, that is a £262 saving. You might not need all the options, but better to pay a small amount now than a large amount later, if you need them. I have added this section as a buyer's decision tree on which model to choose. If you only want one additional license on the capable model and you will never in the future need any others, then you could save £20 or £30 per handset. But the key takeaway is, buy the premium. You have everything in your back pocket, making future upgrades easy. Before we move on, you can see that there are different models for UHF and VHF coverage. The Motorola R7 is not capable of switching between UHF and VHF like many amateur radios are. You buy the radio for the frequency band type you want, and it's fixed and not changeable. It's probably the identical hardware, but a Motorola-only mode setting. We will come on to the antennas in a bit. This is not an extensive technical deep dive into the differences between UHF and VHF, but is here to help you decide on which is best for your application. UHF has a shorter wavelength, which is better for penetrating objects at shorter distances. This is ideal for indoor use or in areas with lots of obstructions like buildings. VHF has a longer wavelength, which is better for longer distances. The marine and aviation industry use VHF, as the distance advantage outweighs the need for shorter range object penetration. Now that I've stopped laughing about saying short range object penetration, let's move on to batteries. The battery options for the R7. There are 4 of them. The standard lithium-ion 2450 mAh unit, and then we have the Impress units. What is Impress? Well, this is Motorola's intelligent battery management system, which automatically reconditions and conditions the batteries and extends their life. Basically, buy either the 2200 or 2850 Impress Slim battery. If you need TIA 4950 certification, which basically means it's intrinsically safe and can be used in hazardous areas, then the 3200 mAh battery is what you need. These are the UHF antenna options for the R7. You have the 120mm all-band slim whip, which covers 403 to 527 MHz. The 90mm stubby, that comes in 3 variants, 400 to 450, 440 to 490 and 470 to 527 MHz. The 60mm short whip in 2 variants, 400 to 450 and 440 to 490. And finally, the 90mm wideband stubby covering 400 to 527 MHz. We're almost there, bear with me. There is a bewildering amount of options when buying an R7, and hopefully the info provided so far will help you, but we aren't done yet. You need to buy a charger, belt clip, dust cover to cover the programming port, and the 100% essential programming cable and software. When you buy a Motorola, you will need to check which items are included in the price. Lots of items are sold separately, and you do not get everything needed in the box, unlike some other radios. The programming cable and CPS 2.0 software is an absolute must. These radios have a huge amount of configurability, which is only accessible via the programming software. Talking about CPS 2.0, it's without doubt the best, slickest and easy to use radio programming software I have encountered. It has full in-software help, validates configurations, it's rock solid. Well done, Motorola, it's a pleasure to use. We're going to take a look at the handsets shortly, but before we do, there are two items that took me a while to investigate and resolve, and I wanted to highlight them to save you the same effort. The full keypad variant allows for a custom boot screen, but it's not clear on how to correctly format the image. You need a 240 by 320 pixel bitmap image, and it must be saved using a 16-bit format in R5 G6 B5 format. If you're using Adobe Photoshop, take the Save As option, and when saving, click the Advanced Modes button and select the options as shown. Then the programming software will accept the file and write it to the radio. There is an option on the full keypad variant to enable some programming features on the handset itself. To enable this, you go to General and General Settings and look for the front programming password section. Set to dealer mode and enter a password. All zeros is easiest. And then you get a new menu option, which we will show you later. Let's take a look around the box. Well, boxes. This is the full keypad version, and this is the no keypad version. This one I ordered a charger with, and I didn't order a second charger with the full keypad. Don't know if they would manage to fit a charger in this box, but this one's bigger. Let's just move that out of the way. So this is the full keypad. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what we get. Opening up the unassuming brown box, we get the device. Very nice, very thin. We get the handset, and removing that, we get the Impress battery. Let's take that out. Very nice. And this is the 400 to 527 megahertz 90mm stubby. Pop that one out. Now, all of these Motorola antennas, they have a ring on the base, and it's printed on that ring, but you do need a magnifying glass if you're old like me. We have a belt clip and the dust cover for the programming port here. Some documentation, and that is it. So let's just clip all this together. So battery on, nice, it is very slim, and antenna, that's it. And then we'll put the battery clip on. And this is metal, which is very nice to see. The plastic ones I do not like because they break, but this is a good quality 2.5-inch belt clip. Very nice. And then we've got the dust cover, which I'll put on later. And then you can see here that this is the no keypad version and the full keypad, and we'll have a good comparison of these two shortly. Comparing these two devices, the no keypad versus the full keypad, they are very, very similar. The no keypad has a slightly pronounced bump here where the speaker is. The full keypad does not have that. It's perfectly flat. Programmable buttons. The no keypad has the 1 dot, 2 dot and 3 dot buttons on the side, the 3 programmable buttons, and it also has the emergency button on the top. So that's 4 programmable buttons on this one, and this one has exactly the same but an additional 2 P1 and P2 on the keypad. So this one 6 programmable buttons. Now let's talk about channels. The no keypad supports a maximum of 64 channels, and that is done via the rotary dial at the top, and that has numbered positions 1 to 16. And you can program the radio with different zones, so you could have 4 zones of 16 channels giving you the 64. And the full keypad, this rotary dial will just keep turning. There is no stop at the end, and they are not numbered because it can cater for a lot more channels. What I've done with the no keypad, which was quite helpful, the programming software, the CPS 2.0, is extremely flexible. Every option you can possibly think of, every channel, every zone, you can set voice announcements to be played out when you're using it, which is very helpful for the no keypad. And what I've done on this radio, if I just turn it on, is I've programmed this emergency button, because I don't need it, to change zone.
Zone 2, channel 1.
So I've set this so that I have my first 16 channels, which may be analog, and then if I short press,
Zone 1, channel 1. Zone 2, channel 1.
it will switch to zone 2, and then I get a different 16 channels. So that's really helpful for me. And then on this one, you don't need to do that because you have a visual display so that you're able to see what zones you're in, and it can cater for a lot more. Channel spacings, they are 12.5 kilohertz, 20 kilohertz and 25 kilohertz when you're programming the channels. And you have on the full keypad, you can see this here, the speaker is actually underneath these keys on those 3. So quite cleverly done how they've got the speaker on the keypad version. And this one obviously has it on the front. Now let's talk about the microphones. The radios have a front microphone here for taking in your voice when used, but they also have on the rear, if I just remove the battery because it's a lot easier to show you, you also have a microphone here, right next to the R7 logo. And that's used for the dual microphone noise cancelling. It takes in the sound from the rear of the radio and differences that from the sound that it's receiving from the front of the radio. And that's what gives you your noise cancelling. Both radios have that. The R7A does not have that rear microphone. Now, one thing to note on the battery, this is the Impress battery, but all Motorola batteries have a date code on them, so you know how old the battery is, and it's next to the serial number right here. And this one says 2339, so that's 2023 and the 39th week. Let me see if I can get a close-up of that. Okay, so that's how you can tell how old your batteries are. Let me just pop that back on there. Both of these radios have Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5G, supporting WPA2 and WPA3 passwords. Bluetooth 5.2 on both devices. Now let's talk about the audio on these devices. Absolutely incredible. The audio on these is amazing. It's highly tweakable in the software. The loudness can be increased to 107 FONs, which is unbelievably loud. It's the best audio quality that I've come across on any handset, even the ICOM ID52, which has great audio. You know, these are comparable, and for loudness, just incredible. Now, both of these units support audio recording and playback. Only the last 5 calls are recorded, and for a maximum of 2 minutes each, so 10 minutes in total the device can record. It's more like remembering the last 5 calls and the first 2 minutes of them, rather than recording the entire message like you can on something like an Anytone D878. So next up, we're going to do an audio test. We're going to do an analog and digital test. I'm going to go and give this to Mr. Motorola, and we will double check, and hopefully I can get across how good the audio is on these radios. So we're going to do a radio check. We're on Analogue, business channel Analogue, and I'm just going to call in for a radio check. Can I have a radio check, please?
Radio check, radio check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radio check, radio check.
And now we're going to do the same test, but on digital. Can I have a radio check, please?
Radio check, radio check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radio check, radio check.
So as I have the audio recording feature enabled on this radio, I should be able to go down to the playback option. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. So I can go back to the playback option and then just play back whichever message. Let's do that now.
Radio check, radio check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radio check, radio check.
So last 5 calls only, but incredibly helpful and useful feature. So we'll have a quick look around the menu system. To bring up the menu, you just push OK. And here we have contacts, scan, zone, call log, messages, service and support, playback, which we've looked at, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. And on the second page, we have notifications, job tickets, and utilities. If we go into the utilities menu, you can see the program radio option, which we enabled in the menus. You can say OK to that. It will ask for the password. And then you're able to edit some information of the programmed channels. If I go into edit channel for this digital channel, or rather you have to select the channel that you want to edit. So let me go down and find a digital channel. Let's pick this one. And in here, you're able to set the color code, the repeater time slot, ARS, and your admit criteria. And that's about your lot. There's not much else that you can change. There's no way of changing the frequency. If we go to an analog channel, you only have the admit criteria and your timeout timer, and there is nothing else. So very, very basic on editing of channels. It would have been lovely if they would have put some way of changing the send and receive frequency through the handset itself. But very simple to use, very nice to use. The screen is actually quite good. It looks a little dull, but it does display well in bright light. Nice and simple to use. I'd like to have a play with the messaging, but I need to get another R7 in order to do that. It's going to be a bit difficult with no screen. But in here, you can send text messages via radio to other devices. So that's a quick look around the menu. There are various videos online testing the noise cancelling feature next to industrial chop saws and two-stroke engines. Well, I don't have either of those, and I don't fancy going for the next best thing, which is upsetting the wife, to see if it can cancel that noise out. So rest assured, the noise cancelling feature is very effective if used next to a screeching two-stroke engine or unhappy wife. So what do I think of the Motorola R7? This radio is built like a tank. You can feel the quality, but you pay handsomely for it. It's an expensive business workhorse of a radio. You can use it for amateur radio, yes, but you need to program it using a computer. You can't just dial in frequencies on the move using the handset. If a nuclear bomb went off, the only thing left would be cockroaches and Motorola R7 radios. It's that good. I love it, and the audio quality on digital is spectacular. If you would like me to cover the CPS 2.0 software and general programming, then drop a comment and let me know. I have a backlog of radios to review and I am working my way through them, but I could come back to this at a future date. I will keep my eyes out for a repeater, as that would be some fun to play with. Anyway, I hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, then please help the channel out by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. This really does help to ensure that I can continue to provide content. Please feel free to buy me a coffee, details in the description below, and thank you to everyone who has bought them for me in the past. If you have any questions or comments, then you know what to do in the comments section. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Trolls and nasty know-it-alls need not apply. Well, until next time, stay safe, stay happy, catch you in the next one.